Hello, I'm Jyotika. Welcome back to Excelling Psychology. We are just continuing with the lessons on how to practice concepts for IB psychology. I have already covered bias, causality, and change. So, three concepts are done. Now we are left with the remaining three. So, today, for the same stimulus that we have been using, I will show you how to practice measurement. Before we begin, I want to remind you that I'm a private tutor for IB Psychology and also sell notes for your course. Model answers are already available for all the papers on my store. So if you want to contact me, my contact details are available in the description box and pin comment below, and also my store link is available there. If you want to know exactly how we are going about these lessons, please watch the very first lesson in this series, which is on bias. So if you just go like two videos back, you will be able to see that lesson. And in that, I've clarified like why we are going about a certain way in practicing these concepts. So without much ado, let's come to measurement today, and we will follow our three steps as always. First, we will annotate the stimulus that is there in front of us. Then we'll make the pointers for discussion, and then we'll expand on one of those points. So to annotate the stimulus, what we need to do first is make note of which are the common points that we can discuss for measurement. And as I always tell you, it's important, so I keep drilling it in. If some point is not working as a criticism of a given stimulus, it can work as a strength. So all points are always applicable to all stimuli. Discussion does not mean giving only criticisms. Discussion also means bringing about strengths, balanced critical thinking. So that is what we are going to be aiming for. When it comes to measurement, one thing we can always look out for is triangulation. Data triangulation or method triangulation. What I mean by this is if there is use of multiple methods for measurement, or if there's multiple types of data that's been collected, usually tends to overlap, then it is a strength of measurement. If that is not the case, if only one type of assessment has been done, like using one method, only one type of data has been collected, then it tends to be a weakness. Another thing we need to look at is the measurement instrument itself. If it is like standardized, objective, well established, a reputed tool that is used across studies, obviously it's going to be a strength. If it's a new type of tool being used or it is not standardized, unstructured, then it's going to be a weakness. So quality of measurement tool is what we can look into. The type of data being collected in measurement is a very important point, and it's an easy one to discuss. I think one of the first points we come across in research methods and evaluation, meaning is it like objective, quantitative data? Is it qualitative data, subjective, open to bias, that type of thing. So the type of data can be a very important point. And not only like the data as such, but also the like test through which it's collected or the assessment through which it's collected, it's interspersed as such. Like if the data is quantitative, the tool or the test which is used will also be of an objective nature. So that is the point I'm trying to make here. And also any uh, like I told you, subjective type of tool, if it is used, self-report assessment, if it is done as such, it can be both a strength and a weakness. We can bring it about both ways, but the weakness is always something that's a strong point to discuss. What I mean by that is, like, if any self-report assessment is used, we know it's always going to be marred by uh, social desirability bias, poor recall, desire to create an impression on the researchers, acquiescence bias could be there. So many biases are associated with self-report measurement. So not having self-report measurement will be a strength. We can always present things counterfactually, like had they used a self report assessment, these would have been the problems. And if it has been used, we can take it as a strength or weakness. Like I told you, weaknesses are easier to identify, but if you feel the nature of research investigation is such that it can be a strength, you can take it that way also. As always, I must give my disclaimer These are not the only points possible. These points I have selected because they are most common, easiest for students to understand, and from my experience, I know these are students' preferred points. They themselves tell me they find these to be the easiest when it comes to discussion. I'm sure you can think of a number of more points for measurement. You must be having your entire checklist of what points can be taken, and as we go through the situation, you will be able to identify more points also. I'm sure about that. But these tend to be the easiest to discuss. What is easy for you can differ, and you can stick with that. From this lesson, you can take, how to go about the process of identifying points, what skills you need. Focus on that. Does not have to be specifically about these points only. Like only these points can be taken. That is not what I'm saying. Okay, so now let's annotate the stimulus, actively reading with these points in mind. We will keep on marking those areas which will be useful for us to discuss these points. So we have the aim of the study first. I know some of you must be thinking, okay, again the same stimulus. We've already seen this. You can forward a little, but whenever we annotate, it's a new type of annotation, right? This time we are doing it for measurement. Previously we did it for different concepts. But still, if it seems too repetitive, I always include timestamps in my video. You can move to the next timestamp. Researchers wanted to investigate whether schemas influence memory for everyday events. Here, there's nothing to do with measurement. Measurement usually comes in the procedure. So in the aim, we have nothing to mark. But of course, to understand the study, it is good to know the aim so that we can follow what is happening in the study. They recruited 120 undergraduate students aged 18 to 24, volunteer email advertisements. Even these points can be taken for measurement, though I'm not taking right now. But if some of your measurement points are around, is the measurement done with such a sample that population validity will exist, you can take that. I just feel that tends to overlap with biases because there's something like sampling bias, which we've already discussed. So I would avoid taking it in measurement because then I feel my discussion will be the same, like bias. But let's say, for example, you're not taking bias as another concept in question 2b, then definitely you can take this one. Then it won't appear to be overlapping. Participants were told study, examine memory for short films. Each participant watched a 2-minute video of a woman visiting a supermarket to buy groceries. Here also there's description of IV, manipulation, task. So again, measurement has not come about yet. Measurement will come when the DV is discussed. So video included 18 ordinary shopping events but also omitted several common supermarket actions. After watching the video, participants completed a 12-minute Sudoku puzzle to reduce immediate rehearsal. Till here, we are just going by, okay, what was done from the researcher's side. Now, what was being measured in participants? They answered a 40-item recognition test. So here we begin with the key points for measurement because now they've started discussing, okay, this was the dependent variable. This is what researchers were examining. So now which point we can mark this for? Like what will we be able to discuss from here? 40-item recognition test, the nature of the test is objective. I think I had noted it as type of data or something. Yeah, type of data. A recognition test, as we have learnt in memory chapter, is about having some words in front of us and just identifying which of the words we've already come across. So, I mean, situations, words, whatever it is, what we've already seen. So, it is of an objective nature. There's nothing to describe in one's own words, or there's no like subjective interpretation that needs to be presented. So it contained 20 events that had appeared and 20 plausible supermarket events that had never occurred. This is further description of the test will be very useful in discussing types of data. For every answer, participants also rated their confidence on a 5-point scale. C. Triangulation. I think I noted it as triangulation, the first point. So triangulation is definitely there because there are two types of data which are being collected from participants. As such, both are quantitative. But why it is triangulated? Because not only their memory is being assessed directly on the recognition test, they're also being asked whether they are confident with that memory or not. Okay, and taken together, like both of these, the 40-item recognition test and the confidence ratings, these both together are the tools of measurement. In one point, I've written tools of measurement, right? So these both are the tools of measurement. They are standardized for sure because everyone, they've I think specified also everyone's getting to see the same 40 items And the way the list is formulated, 20 items of what was there, 20 not there, everyone's getting to see exactly the same thing. As such, it's not mentioned that this is a well established scale. There's no name that, this renowned recognition test was used, nothing like that, but at least it is standardized. Even the confidence ratings, it's a 5-point scale. It's a fixed rating scale, meaning that it is standardized. Everyone's going to answer on the same scale. Two researchers independently scored the recognition test using the same marking guide before comparing their results. Again, this does make for objectivity. It is researcher triangulation because multiple researchers are assessing the same tests performance of the participants. It's a very big strength, very big plus, but I've not taken it because it's not a common point. Like I told you, in case you're taking it, in case researcher triangulation is one of the points that you want to discuss, definitely mark this point also. I'm not marking it right now. Also, one more point I would like to mark, like everything, because measurement is all about the dependable. Everything's getting narrowed down there. You have to annotate there only. The confidence ratings that they've taken is self-report. As such, recognition test is also self-report, but it's not strictly that self-report category type of self-report. Like I'm not asking people to give their opinions. It's more of an assessment. It's more of a psychometric test. But confidence rating for sure is self-report. Because I have to give my opinion on whether I think I have answered accurately or not. My memory has been accurate or not. So for the annotation I have made for, the outline I have made for use of self-report measures, this point will help me. Then there are results and conclusion, which pretty much won't have much to give us except type of data will get confirmed. Like when we see the scores, we'll get to see once again it is quantitative. So we just go over it just to complete the reading of the stimulus, but as such is not going to add anything much. Okay, so quickly, just to give a good finishing, let's go over the results and conclusion. Participants recognized an average of 16.8 of the 20 real events, but they also falsely recognized an average of 6.3 supermarket events. Like I told you, type of data. We knew it was quantitative data that is getting reaffirmed here because means have been given. This type of statistical analysis further indicates that this is quantitative data. One thing I want to caution about, again, this is for those who are taking points beyond what I'm taking in this lesson. Sometimes you take data analysis point under types of data. So just be very clear in your wording when you're writing. For example, when you're writing, you know that means are calculated and it is like quantitative data, right? That is quantitative data. But then after that, if you're taking it as, statistical analysis is a strength, it helps in quantitative analysis. Just be very clear on using the word analysis. Mean is not raw data that is directly taken from participants. Raw data taken from participants is used to calculate the mean. So just be clear if you're taking analysis points for measurement, definitely very good points to take, but you formulate it correctly when you're writing. So specify that because there's quantitative analysis in the form of statistical analysis, that is why there is objective interpretation, increasing validity of study. So just put it that way. Okay, and the false memories commonly involve shopping basket, scanning a loyalty card, and placing groceries on conveyor belt. In the conclusion, we see researchers concluded existing schemas can help organize memories, but can also lead to remember unexpected events. That's it for the stimulus. So this is what my annotation looks like for measurement. Now the pointers that I have made, I will just outline them like I always do. I'll make a proper outline that can help me in further expansion of the points. So triangulation, just now we marked something for triangulation. Looking back at that, let me just write a point, which can help me in further elaboration in my answer. For triangulation, I had marked here that there were two ways in which they collected data. One is the recognition test directly, the other is the confidence ratings. Now I told you AIM does not help us directly to write an answer, but it helps us to maintain coherence. Like we can keep on relating what are they trying to achieve here. They want to show that schemas impact memory. And for that, they are taking two ratings. Now, how is this helpful? Imagine there is a participant who remembers that there is a shopping basket in the clip, though it was not shown. But when it comes to the recognition test, they mark the shopping basket. They mark loyalty card. They mark conveyor belt. Plus, along with marking this, they also give very high confidence ratings. That helps researchers see the power of schemas. That makes their results even stronger. that not only people recall these things which were not there, on top of that they are so confident about it. That is the extent to which schemas influence memory. So it's very, very useful to take the confidence ratings. Recognition test by itself can show the effect of schemas, but adding to that the confidence ratings helps to see the impact of schemas even more clearly on memory. So triangulation is a very big strength here. How will I just write an outline point that's specific? I will write it as um, recognition scores plus confidence ratings, which is a strength. Later, I will expand on this point. I always expand on one point. In that, I will show you whatever commentary I gave you just now. I gave you an expanded point, how you can actually put it down. Now, coming to tool of measurement, again, I had marked recognition test and confidence rating. Both are tools of measurement. They are standardized. I pointed out that time also. Everyone gets to see the same 40 items, same 20 misleading items and 20 actual items. Standardization gives reliability. Definitely there's reliability of assessment even in the confidence ratings. Yes, it is self-report, but that is a separate discussion that we do below. By itself, collecting ratings from participants is quantitative assessment. So that is a strength of measurement. Everyone gets to see the same 5-point rating scale on which they mark their ratings, and then researchers just interpret whatever ratings participants have given. They just interpret it at face value. If they've given higher ratings, we assume they've been more confident about their recognition. If they give low ratings, they have not been as confident about their recognition. So researchers' interpretation does not get involved in the measurement. It's very straightforward, unbiased, objective assessment that is also reliable because of its standardized nature. Very big strength again. How we can put it down in the outline is both recognition and confidence ratings standardized. So another thing I want to remind you is what I tell you, what I just explained to you, that is the way you should be writing the expanded point. This is just an outline. This is not all you have to write in the answer. You have to expand and show your answer. So also in the videos, pay attention to what I'm telling you orally. That will help you write good answers. Okay, next coming to type of data. Type of data, as we saw, both the data is quantitative and be it recognition, because scores are calculated later also we mark, they've just taken the means ultimately. Confidence rating, though they've not given the means finally, but of course they must have calculated confidence rating means. Now, I can take it as a strength because it's objective, but I've already exhausted that point, right? Because in the tools of assessment, only just now I mentioned that this is a strength, it is unbiased. Plus, I have told you right at the beginning, my preference is 2 strengths, 2 weaknesses. That is the way I like to write it, balanced perspective. So I will bring about a weakness of using quantitative data. There are always 2 sides to every coin. So I'm going to take the other side for my convenience to bring it to 2 strengths and 2 weaknesses. You're most free to point out how this is quantitative and unbiased. Quantitative data suffers from the weakness that we don't get any insights. We don't get any details or depth of why participants, for example, found the certain items easy to bring to their mind when those items were not there. What prompted them to think of those items when they were answering the recognition test? Did they actively think that, oh, there should be a conveyor belt in a supermarket, and then they marked it, or did they just mark it subconsciously without even realizing, like automatically they just put a tick mark without realizing that, oh, this thing was not there? So was it deliberate? Was it subconscious? When they gave their confidence ratings again, did they think through it carefully before giving their confidence rating, or just automatically they were very sure and they just marked 5 out of 5 in confidence ratings? We don't know any of this till we interview them, or till we ask them to maybe think aloud as they're answering the recognition test, or to think aloud as they're giving the confidence ratings. Till we have some qualitative assessment, some sort of description of what is happening in their mind, we don't get deep insights into Are schemas influencing them? Very important, because schemas are unobservable. At least if they tell us that, we get a hint of, okay, maybe schemas are influencing them. Second, if schemas are influencing them, how they are influencing them, at what level? Conscious, subconscious, we don't know. So that is missing because the type of data collected is only quantitative, and this is a limitation or a weakness of the measurement done. I would like to present it in that way. For my outline right now, I'll just write only quantitative data. I'm sorry about this. No insight into impact of schema. So it's a weakness. Okay, finally, use of self-report. As I told you, this self-report point mainly applies to the confidence ratings. Now, let's say if I was a participant in the study, I did the recognition and I was very shaky when I was doing it, because so many items when I saw on the list, I was not sure whether I've seen them in the video clip or not. But then after that, they asked me for my confidence on top of that. So just for the sake of, making a good impression on the researcher, that I mark only when I'm confident about something. I gave a very high confidence rating, though I was not at all confident when I was marking the recognition test. I want the researchers to think that, I've been taking the task seriously. So for that purpose, I might have given a high confidence rating, and that would be misleading because actually I was not confident. Also, many people are not very insightful into their own mental processes. Like when we ask them for confidence ratings, they are like, I don't know, I was confident or not, I was just marking things. So they are not able to describe abstract things like their own confidence about something. So self-report always suffers from these type of problems. People deliberately misreporting to create a certain impression, or people not being able to discuss their mental processes because they are not accustomed to thinking in that way about their own mental processes, which can reduce validity. This tends to be a little low validity type of measurement process. Self-report always suffers from that. So in my outline, I can just write confidence ratings are prone to social desirability, which is a weakness. Okay, so this is what my outline looks like. You can also take a look at it, and I will also show you the annotation once again. We are done with the most of it. Now just to take one point and to practice its expansion for a good ending of the video. So the first point that I take in triangulation, let me show you how you can develop it into a full peel point that you can write down in the answer. Definitely, I want to again tell you, I keep on repeating some things because they're important. As a teacher, I know that. Practice writing your answers. Don't take it for granted that, oh, I've seen how the teacher is expanded, now I can do it. Don't have that overconfidence. I've told you later on, after you've practiced a lot and based on that practice, you've gained confidence, you can stop going on writing complete answers. But initially, it is required. You must write full answers. You must challenge yourself and see whether you're able to write it or not. Till you write, you won't know where you're struggling. If you're able to write it in the first time, you're able to write a very good answer, great. But till you write it down, you won't know like where you face problems. Most students face problems, for example, in contextualizing. I can give a critical point, but I'm not able to relate it with the passage. That's a big issue. So you won't know if you are having this problem or not unless you practice, right? So don't take it for granted. Definitely write full answers, at least initially. Once you've gained enough experience, then you can just keep making outlines. Okay, so let's revise the peel format of writing. So we can begin with one strength is or one weakness is. My first point was a strength, the triangulation thing. So I'll take it as a strength. One strength of measurement is the use of triangulation. This is known as making a point. We signpost one's strength or weaknesses and we point out to the examiner that this is going to be our first paragraph of discussion. Now we give evidence. So now how does this triangulation apply to this specific study? Now we are going to show that. Researchers collected not only recognition scores but also confidence ratings regarding memory from participants. Next, I have to explain. I said this is a strength. Why is it a strength? I need to explain that. So this is a strength because impact of schemas on memory. I'm sorry about the handwriting breaking today. I don't know why it's happening. Can be more clearly assessed or more, I just lost track. Can be more, yeah, I would just say clearly for now, clearly assessed, considering both scores, both types of scores. Always give examples where you can to make yourself clear. Never hesitate in giving examples. If students tell me, should I add an example? Is it becoming too lengthy? Giving examples are the best way of showing the clarity of your thought process. So I strongly encourage that. For example, if participants gave both, showed both, recognition errors and high confidence, it would suggest strong impact of schemas on memory. So can you see how, effective my point has become because of the example, how clearly I'm able to convey like what is the strength of using both measures. I couldn't have done it without the example. So giving examples is a very good writing technique. Now, what do I do after explaining why this is a strength? I link back the point. I link back to the larger question that has been asked to me. I've been asked to critically think about the study in terms of measurement. So, what is all of this that I've written right now telling me about measurement? I link back to that. Therefore, this shows that is a good way of beginning. So, therefore, use of triangulation in measurement increased the credibility or validity of researchers' findings. Okay, so that's it for measurement, and with this we have completed 4 concepts. The next video is going to be on perspective. So do stay tuned for that one. Until then, keep practicing these. We have 3 points in the outline I showed you which we did not expand on, right? So that is the challenge for you. You must expand on all those 3 points and write peel paragraphs just like this. And make sure that, if a measurement answer came, you would be able to write it fully. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.